Welcome to the first episode of the Lootcast. I am your host, Josh Schmidt, and I have got with me my good friend, Mr. Mark Turcotte. He's my co-host tonight. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. Yourself?
I am doing great. I am doing great. I got to say, this whole new podcast thing is all your fault.
I know. I know.
It,
Everybody. It seems like everybody I talk to always ends up starting a podcast. I don't know why it is. I have no idea why it is. But dude, I'm glad to be here, man. I mean, when did we talk? It's probably been that show I was on your old show. Was that probably 3-4 months ago? Has it been?
at least,
Yeah.
and that was the last episode I recorded because you were like, you got to fine tune this thing, and I'm like,
Man.
all right, let's fine tune this, Mr. Mark the Mentor. That's it. So
Well, you know what, it's
here
been
we
great
are.
the growth you've had with the Loot Cave. I mean, it seems like I see a lot of people now, tweeting it out. I mean, you got T-shirts I saw you were selling. You have this new show starting up. It's great, man. It's great to see you being a part of this community, man. It's awesome. And I think the plans you have for this show, I think people are really going to enjoy what you're going to bring with it. So it's awesome.
I got the Twitch stream commercial coming through. That's great. That'll be good. There we go. That's a newbie mistake right there. So
Yeah.
hey, we're going live. We're just gonna keep
Keep
on
going, man. We're
rocking
live.
here,
Keep
so.
rolling it. If you want to redo the intro, whatever, we're good to go. Whatever you want to do.
No, it's cool. I don't mind hearing about the auto rock and play sleeper waterscape from Fisher Price as we
It's
get
fine, because that
So-
totally makes sense right on Twitch. They got Jack now. They're doing ads for kids' toys, right? I mean, how does that even make sense?
Exactly. I'm getting the chat saying they're hearing the ad. Sorry, guys. So, anyway. But I'm sure pretty much everybody here knows who you are, but you are the host of Guardian Radio,
Yeah.
the longest running Destiny podcast out
Yes, definitely. That's one thing nobody can ever take away from us, man. Is we launched literally 1 week after they officially announced the game, and yeah, we've been doing it ever since. Somehow, to the disbelief of many, including many at Bungie, I'll put it that way. I mean, Deej never thought we would have made it that far. The crazy thing is, I mean, people listen to our show, and sometimes we get feedback of people saying it's too long, being 2 hours. But we're doing 2-hour shows 2 years ago. I don't know how we did it, but somehow we did it, and it's wild, man. It's been a lot of fun, doing Guardian Radio, and obviously the Guardian Radio Network. We have all kinds of other shows now rolling on, so it's been a lot of fun, man. And we just keep on doing it. As long as the game's out, we're gonna keep on trucking with it because we definitely have fun. So, yeah, it's cool.
Awesome, dude. That's awesome. I'm on the fly trying to get your audio working in Twitch.
Yeah,
but
it looks like people aren't hearing it.
I don't know. I mess with this thing all bloody night, but
Yeah, we can start over, dude, if you want. I mean, let's no sound on Mark, but looks like an interesting conversation.
all right. Well, we can. I guess you know what? Why not? Let's just start it over.
Yeah, that's
So-
fine. Are you at least getting my recording at least?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
So you're getting that through Google.
Here we go. Let's see. Let's turn this here.
What are you
All
using to capture the audio? Like SoundCloud?
Yes. Yes.
And that's got to be then your. What's actually pushing to Twitch? You using XSplit? I'm sorry, you can't use XSplit with the Mac.
OBS.
Okay. Yeah, I don't use OBS, so I don't know.
I'm gonna. Oh wait, let's do this one more thing here.
Put these ridiculous shades on.
Perfect. Let's see now. Still nothing. Guys, bear with us. We are still working on it here.
Don't I have little Google things I can put on my head?
You might. So
I never use Hangouts. So I was
there's all
there we
kinds
go.
of
Cool
cool things.
effects. Yeah. Here we go.
All right. I don't know. I don't know what happened. I had it all rocking and rolling before this. I had see if we get a little music to play here. I had that going, no problem. Yeah, there's music now. So go ahead and say something, buddy.
Check 1 2 1 2. Can you guys hear me?
No,
Am I
you're not.
audible?
You're not coming out. I mean, why?
Why would
That'd
I,
be
right?
too- That'd be too easy. So here we go. Now people are going, what was that? All right. So
Let me see if I can figure out how to get this crap off my face. Now we got a monocle and a hat on.
This is the behind the scenes here. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna tell people to go here.
Yeah, tell them to get to the Google Effects. There we go. I gotta get all this off. Remove all effects. There it is. All right, here we go. Pirate Mark's just having a blast. Yeah, just hanging out.
Okay. All right. So they're gonna go over there. We can get started again. So where are we at on the timer here? I just want to take a quick look. I'm gonna do a quick pause, and then start it. All right, here we go. We're gonna the official start. You ready?
Yep.
All right. Take two.
Thanks two.
Thanks for hanging out late, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right. All right. Welcome to the first episode of the Lootcast. I think somebody else just joined us here.
How did somebody just join?
I'm not sure. Oh, they can't hear it. They're just watching.
Oh, okay.
They don't have. That's cool. Okay, we're good. I'm like, what? That is not the link I sent out. So
Nope.
All right. Take three.
Everybody just joining.
That may fill up. Who knows? So, all right. Take three. Here we go. Welcome to the first episode of the Lootcast. I am your host, Josh Schmidt. I've got what I'm calling my co-host, the guy that's responsible for this monstrosity of a podcast here.
Oh, man.
Mr. Mark Turcotte from Guardian Radio. How are you, buddy?
I'm good, man. How are yourself? I'm glad to be here, man. I appreciate you inviting me here to the premiere episode. Glad to be a part of it. And, I think you got a great idea here for the show to, kind of just expose people to content creators and that. I think it's definitely a great idea. And it's been awesome to see the growth of the Loot Cave, dude. You picked the great name, awesome name to have for the site. And, yeah, it's awesome, man. So.
I appreciate it, my friend. I appreciate it. So, like I mentioned, this is your fault, dude. I interviewed for you for my old podcast, the N64 Gaming Podcast, and you were like, "Hey, you got to get that branding nailed, dude. You got to get it. Yeah. You got to get it nailed down." And I don't know what's happening. There's people just showing up in the call.
There's all kinds of people showing up in the call. It's cool, man. Just let everybody come on in, man. Come on into the show.
Just you know what? Just join us. It's
just blame it on me. You're blaming me for the show. Blame me for people showing up. I mean, whatever. Just blame it on me. I can be the scapegoat. I guess maybe that'll be the new the co-host gig here as part of the show. Like we've got video now of these guys popping in here. Ridiculous.
Yeah,
there he is. What's up, buddy?
What's up, dude? Welcome. It's just a party, but it's all good. There'll be no audio coming in except for ours, so we're rocking and rolling. So you are the host of Guardian Radio, the longest running Destiny podcast.
Yeah, that's one thing that nobody can take that away from us, man. We are the longest running Destiny podcast. I mean, we launched literally a week after Destiny was announced, and to the dismay of many people who thought we could never do a show for. I mean, I was talking to somebody recently. I mean, I think we did it a year and a half with no game. Somebody's like, "Oh, how long have you been doing it?" Like, since the summer. I'm like, "No, we've been doing it since 2013." Like, February of 2013. Like, I don't know how we've done it that long. And people always say to us like, our show maybe is a little bit too long at like 2 hours, but it's like, we were doing 2-hour shows back then. So it's crazy, man. I mean, the cast has changed a little bit. We've had some people come and go, but we're having a blast doing it. We're going to keep on doing it. I mean, the community loves us, and as long as the support's there, we're definitely going to keep on trucking with the community because it's so much fun, man. I mean, you're a podcaster. You know how much fun podcasting is. It's so much fun to do, and so we found the audience. I'm going to keep on doing it for sure. So.
Yeah, it's great, dude. Like when I first found you guys, I was like, dude, I binged. It was like it was like when I found Lost, man. I just couldn't stop watching that show.
Yeah, like the Netflix.
I was like,
that's the Netflix effect, man. People love to have kind of that effect where you can listen to something and just binge on it like that. I mean, that's why what is it, like House of Cards on Netflix? They just launch the whole season at once and people just binge it for the weekend. Like nobody really watches a show on the time that it is at 8 o'clock on Tuesday night or whatever. People are always just binging, man. So it's funny to kind of hear you say that in a podcast front, because that's the one thing about those earlier shows that we did was it's cool to go back and listen to those and see how wrong we were, I guess is the best way when it comes to Destiny, to kind of hear that stuff, because that stuff is timeless. The news is another thing, but to hear some of the speculation, that is always fun to go back and listen to. So, but yeah.
It's just rad, dude. It's absolutely rad. And I mean, and some of the guests you guys have had on, and just all of it, dude. I love everything that's come from it, all the other shows and stuff, because it was like I finished up Guardian Radio. I was like, well, I got TTL, I got Warlock School, I got DOD, which is now the Aim Assist Gaming.
Yep.
And dude, and I recently binged all of the Ghost and Echo stuff. And
oh, did you really? Nice, man.
Dude.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to sit here and take credit me here on this show. I mean, that was more of a testament, specifically mainly to Craig, but then even to Bife. I mean, both of those guys, were very instrumental, and then Craig specifically with just his audio editing, and he's continuing it with the audio grimoire. I mean, that's been awesome for us. We've been doing that, and we got Bentrick, who is from Dungeon Protocols, come over. He's helping Craig out a lot. I mean, he's edited the last 2 or 3 audio grimoires that we put out. We got Bungie helping us out, tweeting them out every week. So, we've been having a blast doing those. And, we tried on episode 100 to get Craig to commit to a season 2 of Ghosts and Echoes. I don't think he's ready for that yet. But definitely down the line, I can guarantee you that it's going to happen at some point, because I think the feedback we get from it is awesome. Which, how crazy is it? I mean, I don't know if somebody saw my tweet. If you follow me on Twitter, at Mark Turk, I'll throw that out there. I tweeted out that Halo, did you see the Halo 5 Guardians? The big reveal yesterday, like, oh, the website, there's this big Tumblr page counting down.
Yeah.
Basically a audio drama that they're doing about finding Master Chief, and I'm like, really? That's a cool idea. Like, the hype leading up to a game, nobody's ever thought of that before. Ghosts and Echoes, throw that out there. Which I saw a lot of people tweeting at me like, well, remember I Heart Bees or I Love Bees for Halo? And like, yeah, but that was a little bit different. That was more of a puzzle thing, where this seems to be straight up a podcast they're going to put out of like an audio drama of finding Master Chief. So kind of interesting, that they're doing that. I don't know. I'm not going to say that they listened to us or saw what we did with Ghosts and Echoes, but with things like Serial being huge on iTunes,
Mm-hmm.
and Welcome to Night Vale, things like that. Obviously, there is a market for people to hear some sort of audio drama podcast. So I think that the guys at 343 jumped right on it to do that.
I love it, and in fact, I don't want to say too much, but I do have another little project in the works that is basically an audio drama. And
awesome, man. Awesome.
Again, I'm not like we're just in the very, very beginning stages of it. So there's the teaser, but after listening to Serial, and then I was like, I gotta find something like this, and then I went back and listened to all of Ghosts and Echoes, because I wasn't sure that. I just thought it was Grimoire all the time, right?
Yeah, no. I mean, the only reason we really started doing the Grimoire was because the feedback we got from Ghosts and Echoes, and then the Grimoire is, not to say that it's easy, but it's written. We don't need to write that stuff. It's just there, and it's like, all right, well, what card are we gonna do this week? And then throw some sound effects in it, and boom, there they are. And not that it's that easy. I mean, it still takes hours for those guys to edit them, but. Where Ghosts and Echoes was a multi-team, everybody kind of trying to write our own stories, but then have them all connect, and then, Craig trying to take all those thoughts and putting the sound effects to it, and that, it was a hell of an effort that Craig put into it. And, we're pretty proud of it, man. And, like I said, I'm sure Ghosts and Echoes 2 at some point, which good luck to you, man, doing your drama. I don't know how many people you guys got, coming on board for it, but I know for us, the reason why it almost took so long was just getting everybody to get all their parts recorded. And, it's even a task just people that aren't all together, because we're literally worldwide. I mean, Bife from England sending clips, guys from across America sending clips. It was a multi-joint project, but it was fun. Definitely fun to do, and I'd love to do it again for sure. So. Good luck to you, man. Have fun doing it, because it's cool. It's good stuff.
Yeah. Maybe we need to kickstart season 2 or something. Get a little Kickstarter going for him.
So honestly, that probably would kickstart it for Craig, I'm sure. But yeah, which I did mention though, if people, and even yourself, if you've never listen to Welcome to Night Vale. Is another awesome audio drama. It's been going on for a long time on iTunes. It's one of the top just podcasts in general up on iTunes, and it's kind of about this creepy little town. And it's this a guy does like a radio broadcast, and he's just talking about all these weird things happening in the town. It's very, very cool, so I highly recommend it to people that like podcasts. and are interested in kind of the drama side of podcasting. It's awesome.
Well, very cool, man. So I want to get into what are you playing right now, dude? I know you're a Destiny fan.
Of course, yeah. I mean, how deep did you get into Destiny? I mean, obviously you're in the Destiny community, but do you have the problem like me where I tried throughout the fall to play all the major releases, Dragon Age Inquisition, Far Cry, I'm just trying to think of all, Assassin's Creed, all this stuff, but I just kept coming back to Destiny. And I was telling somebody the other day, I think Destiny like broke me as a gamer because I always played with friends or with groups of people, but more like competitive in that, and I always want to get into World of Warcraft and MMOs, and I did. But never to the extent like I did with Destiny. Like now when I go and like Dragon Age Inquisition, a game that years ago I would have loved this game and been going crazy over it, I just felt alone. Like when I was playing the game, I played for like an hour and I'm like, this kind of sucks. Like I'm by myself. Sure, it's a great story, but I kind of want to just go run go to the rock playlist with my buddies, that I play with every morning. And I'm finding myself having problems like getting into other games. I mean, are you in that same situation now, or no?
Dude, you described me to a T, basically. The backlog is real, and I keep trying to play Shadow of Mordor because it is absolutely.
It's incredible.
Oh,
it's
awesome. Dude, it's so good. It is so good, and yeah, like just it's there. It's there. I got Wii U games. I got Xbox One games. I got DS games. They're just. Yeah. They're all collecting dust, and so now there's a little bit of a lull with Destiny, right? Like, I mean, I finally got my Vex, and that was kind of my
nice, good for you, man.
And, so I'm kind of having fun. I did the Iron Banner this time around and got some of the gear and whatnot, but I've definitely been playing some other things. My son really loves Monster Hunter 4, so we.
Oh, really? I picked it up and I was having problems getting into it. Everybody keeps saying there's like this 10 to 15 hour like hump you kind of got to get over. And I played a bunch of 3 on the Wii U, and then I was like, I'm going to get into this. And then it just was one of those moments where it was like, I can't really go through, get the 5 Jaggy hide again in the beginning. There's like those initial quests of every Monster Hunter, which I know you just got to get over it, but I couldn't do it. And honestly, I traded it in. Or actually, no, I'm sorry. I sold that one on eBay. I was just like, I just cannot get into this game right now. But I did just pick up, actually, Grand Theft Auto 5, and I'm definitely getting Bloodborne tomorrow. GTA 5 I picked up because of the crew that I play with in the mornings, just to, kind of continue the Destiny crew, but over into GTA 5. Bloodborne on the PS4, dude, just looks just sick. I was gonna hold off, but I think I watched too many videos today about that game, and I gotta freaking play that game, dude. It looks amazing. But you know what I am playing right now, actually, that I will throw out here, and I can't talk too much about this game because I also do another show, Robust Radio. As some of you know, if you guys are listeners of the Guardian Radio Network, you know that. And Derek is over there, Derek Smith. He's the editor-in-chief of Game Insider Magazine, which I wrote for, off and on for a while. We actually did a podcast over there. Well, I'm kind of coming back, reviewing games here or there, and there's a game called Axiom Verge. It's an independent game made by one man over 5 years. Guy did everything, animated it, designed it, coded it, did the composing, everything. One guy. And Sony picked it up, and it's coming out to the Vita and the PS4. I think it's March 31st. And I got a copy of it a couple days ago. And if you are a fan of Metroid, or even more specifically Super Metroid, this game is for you. It is the game that you would have wanted to be the sequel to Super Metroid in terms of, you're exploring a world, and it's all just, you don't really know what's happening, and every area you go to is just creepy, has that just kind of weird mood music, and just when you get to a point where you don't think you can progress anymore, you find that new item or that new ability that just pushes you into the next stage, to the next boss, and it's just the pacing of it is perfect. And I highly recommend it when it comes out. It's I think March 31st it'll be out. I will have a review up over on Game Insider when hopefully the day it comes out. I'm hoping to finish it before then and meet the embargo. But it's awesome. Highly, highly recommend it. Actually, I told you before we went on air, dude, there was a video of Reggie from Nintendo touring the Sony booth at E3 this past year, and he saw it, and he said, "Oh, wow, look at that. That looks like Metroid." And you hear somebody in the back just yell like, "Yeah, well, somebody's got to make it." And so, like, it just, it breathes Metroid when you see it, but it still definitely has its own little uniqueness to it as you get some of the abilities in that Metroid never had in it. So I definitely recommend people check that out. If you're into old school platformers and those, I hate this term, but the Metroidvania style of game, like, that's exactly what it is. I mean, it's great. So that's what I'm playing right now until I pick up Bloodborne, I think, and then I'm sure Bloodborne's going to take a bunch of my time. So, what about you, man? What are you playing?
For that.
What are you playing?
Well, definitely Destiny, a little bit of Iron Banner, like I said, a little bit of Monster Hunter 4.
Did you get Smash? Did you pick up Smash on the Wii U?
I did. I played it some. I probably played it more on the DS.
Yeah.
I have enjoyed like the 6 players. I got 4 kids and the wife, and we can all play it together.
Beautiful.
And so
nice.
That's a good time.
Who's your main? Who's your main character?
I've been trying Falco.
Really? Yeah, I know. I think it's Watts. Watts from Warlock School. He loves Falco every time we play. He loves. I love Lil Mac is great.
Yeah.
But I've really on the DS or on the 3DS version, I was playing Little Mac a lot. But once the Wii U version came out, I've played Pac-Man a lot. Pac-Man's great. Like, I think he's like an underrated character because he has the throw. You can kind of hold up the fruits and throw them, and then if you're above somebody, you can throw down the fire hydrant. And it either hits them or then it shoots the water out, and it's just constantly just aggravating people. Just keep dropping the fire hydrant and throwing stuff at him. He's a good character. Trust me. Play Pac-Man, man. He's good. I'm trying to tell people that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I just love seeing all the kind of the retro things they do with them, throwing the ghosts out there and
the Pac-Land stage is just ridiculous. It's half the time you're just constantly trying to run just to keep up with it because it's one of those sliding stages that's constantly moving.
Right. Yeah. So and then like I said, I tried to pick up and play a little bit of Shadow of Mordor, but I just get little nuggets of that game, and then I'm like, back to Destiny or whatever.
Yeah.
But
the one good thing though about Mordor though too is because that game seems to be so not that things are happening on the fly, but you know what I mean. Like you're always finding like what do they call them? Not warlords, but whatever the main guys there. You're always constantly just kind of finding random. The randomization, I guess, of the game or the random events that happen in that game. You can kind of hop in whenever. I mean, sure, there's a story and you want to complete that, but I think that's a game you could just kind of pop on, do a couple cool things. You just feel badass in that game. I mean, all the movement just has weight and everything to your character, and then you can just pop off, maybe not play it again for a little bit. Or like like I said, a game like Dragon Age. I mean, if I turn that thing on now, I have no idea what the hell's going on, and like that totally defeats the purpose of playing that game. Like that game is story driven, and without it, it's nuts. So.
The other game I've been playing that's finally fixed is the Master Chief Collection.
The Master Chief Collection.
Yes.
Awesome. What are you doing in that? More multiplayer or playing campaign?
Yes. I've done a little. I've been trying to play through the campaign with my wife actually. So we've been cool. Doing a little bit of that, but we're trying to buy a house right now. So trying to do gaming together is just really not.
Yeah,
we're packing and So that hasn't been on the top priority list, but definitely the multiplayer. I've always loved. I mean, Halo 1 LAN parties,
so
Halo
much
2,
fun, man. Yep.
Halo 3, 4. I mean, it's just I loved 4. I think I'm in the minority, but I loved it. Like
I honestly like people hate on 4 so much. I enjoyed it. I mean, it was changes obviously to the gameplay. It sped up. You knew where the weapons were falling when they're falling, and the loadouts were a little bit more extensive, but. It's fun. Like I still had a great time playing 4. But what is like when you go into the multiplayer right now? What are you doing? Are you doing kind of just the search for any Halo, any game type, or are you specifically going in saying I want Halo 2, oddball or whatever it is, or objective? I guess. Like what's your kind of play right now when you do it?
Either Team Slayer, 4v4, or the big team battle.
But are you going for a specific game, or are you going for any of the games?
Oh, so.
You know what I mean? Because you could break it down to the game if you want.
Yeah,
or are you doing across the board?
I've been just going to their Team Slayer search, which has like 1, 2, and 3, and then big team is 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yeah. And but when I first got it was all Halo 1, man. I'd seeing Halo 1 run at 60 frames a second.
Awesome, right?
Like that 3-shot pistol, dude. I loved it. It was so much fun. So just
some hang 'em high or something. Some hang 'em high objective is just awesome.
I've played Blood Gulch and Rat Race but I haven't even gotten to Hang 'em High yet, dude. I kind of forgot about that map.
I mean, really, when you put that thing in, I mean, it's like you just look at it like all the maps. I mean, I sat there and was just scrolling through all the maps that are in there. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, sure, it sucks the launch went bad, but hopefully I mean, I actually haven't put it in a while, so I mean, is everything pretty much fixed now? You can find a match relatively quick, or is
I
it
had
still
to buy a
kind
new
of
router,
okay?
but once I bought a new router, then it worked. 'Cause I had an
Fixed
Apple
it.
router that was not playing nice, so
Because
you
I
know.
bought it, I picked it up. My son got an Xbox One for Christmas, and I picked it up shortly thereafter. And I'm like, it can't be that broke, right? Put it in like in an hour span. I think I got to play like 2 games, and I'm like, man, this because it was just matchmaking and just constantly looking, and I'm like, man, this sucks. Like really? So I had to go over to the Halo 2 campaign, which by the way looked awesome. I mean, that campaign they did a great job with kind of dressing that thing up, but.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, just the idea to have all those Halo maps at your disposal is pretty awesome. So.
Yeah, I mean, I hope they continue. Like, I would love to see it with Gears of War, right?
Yep.
See, and maybe even Mass Effect. I just found I saw today that Batman is
Yeah, I saw they're doing that. Yeah.
getting a remaster, and so
God of War 3 is coming to the PS4, which is kind of ridiculous. 60 frames running full 1080p, which is nuts. I mean, that game already looked incredible on the PlayStation 3. It's gonna look
one of the few
bananas on
games
the
I
PS4.
played, man. It was awesome.
Yep.
So, kind of speaking of current game news and whatnot, what do you think about Nintendo, man, going mobile?
Oh, Nintendo going well. I mean, there's two sides to it. I mean, the one thing when you kind of read into that press release was, well, Iwata had always said they're never going to go mobile, right? It's never going to happen. Like that's a space they're not going to go into. Well, of course, when things aren't going their way and the Wii U's not selling so much, what do they do when they're going into mobile? But then if you notice, like he made it a point to point out that we're not just going specifically mobile and forgetting everything else because, by the way, in that whole announcement of going mobile, they also announced they're making a new dedicated console/platform, I think is actually the word he used. So by saying platform, that's not necessarily saying we're making a new home console, whatever it's going to be. But so he's still trying to point out that we're not just going exclusively mobile. So I think by him saying that, that's cool. To me, I just kind of, at first when you read that, it's like, oh man, that's terrible. Maybe they're actually going to go the route of Sega, right, and just make their own games. But I think if anything, it's just adding to the Nintendo product, right? I mean, they have the 3DS. They have the home console and the Wii U, and now they're going to have these mobile games. I mean, one of the articles I was reading, or I don't know if this might even been over on Reddit, was somebody saying like, well, now they're just going to not sell any more 3DSs, and everybody's going to buy mobile phones and that. And it's like, well, I would hope that's not the case because I don't think the same games are going to be on the 3DS are going to be on the phones. I mean, I don't think that you're going to have a full-fledged Pokemon game on the mobile space, right? I mean, these games, Nintendo themselves are the ones that are going to publish the game, so they're not just going to publish, the same games on those platforms. And the one thing people aren't thinking about is think of the install base on the phones, man. I mean, you could like what are they coming out with soon? Like Puzzles and Dragons is coming out with like a Mario version of that. Like if they just did that and kind of tack Mario on it, sure, it's kind of a cash in, and people can say, oh, it's crap, Nintendo's doing that. Hey, it's more money in Nintendo's pocket, and if that's more money they can spend on making the next Metroid on the Wii U or whatever, the NX, right? Isn't that the new console? Is that what they're calling it? I think it's fine, man. I honestly think it's a good move for them, and it's something that probably 4 or 5 years from now we're going to see probably Sony doing something like that or Microsoft because, man, let's face it, the mobile space is crushing. I mean, everybody has a mobile phone. Every 4 or 5-year-old kid out there has access to their parents' phone, to an iPad, to a Kindle, to whatever it is. And now that's one less thing that a parent needs to buy that kid. They don't need to buy them the 3DS because now they're playing their Mario games or at least getting introduced to Mario on something else. And then maybe they'll buy the next handheld or buy the next console. I don't know. I mean, what's your take on it, man? I mean, do you think it's doom and gloom or what?
My initial thoughts were a little bit. I didn't love it, right? I mean, the bottom line is Nintendo's a business, so they've got to make money.
They have to do it, man.
And so if they don't make money, they don't exist, right? I mean, that's pretty much the bottom line. Now, they've got plenty of money in reserve, so they ain't going anywhere.
I mean, what was the buy-in for the company? They spent like $130-something million or whatever it is to buy into this company, and that's like 10% of this company. So, they got a lot of money. I mean, even though the Wii U's not selling great, the 3DS sold a crap load last month. So they're all right now. I think they're okay.
Yeah, what I don't want to see, I don't want to see Mario like the free runner like Mario Temple Run, or like. And the reason that I initially got kind of worried about it was on the DS they made their version of Candy Crush that has microtransactions.
Right, they did.
and
Pokemon
I'm
game, right?
like, I really don't want a Pokemon Candy Crush on. I don't want to get any more
Yeah.
invites. I get enough Candy Crush.
Yeah, that's what it is. We don't want invites, right?
I just don't
Yeah.
want invites. So, but at the same time, I mean, I've been a fan of Nintendo since I can remember. You
Dude,
know,
they're the
so
Disney of video games, man. You know, like
yeah,
they have this catalog of IPs, Mario, Link, Metroid, Samus, all these things that, I mean, it sucks, dude. And I'm sure, like, I mean, wouldn't though, as crazy as it sounds, and it is a cash in, an endless Mario runner? Doesn't that make sense though, right? I mean, in the character that Mario is, I know it's terrible, and
yeah,
to me, it would be like, okay, I don't think they would just. I would hope that they wouldn't just skin it. Take whatever Temple Run and throw Mario on it. I would hope that they would put the Nintendo twist on it and innovate on it, and then whatever they do, that's what the next Temple Run would do something similar to that, because they would be copying Nintendo, because it's Nintendo that made it, and so they're going to make it their own and do something different with it. I would hope that they would do that, but in the same sense, they could just as easily, plaster Mario's face or make Mario a playable character in Temple Run. I don't know. Like it is selling out, I guess, and it does suck, but you kind of just look at where they are. It's something that they kind of need to do, and like I said, I think that having the install base there, because that's one thing, and I read this recently too, and this is where I think when Iwata always talked about mobile, he always said, like, we want, if they ever were to do it, they would want that to be kind of people's introduction. And so, like I said, you have these 4-year-old kids out there whose parents just throw an iPad in them because the parent wants to do whatever and not pay attention to their kid. The kid could learn about Mario there or see Mario in that game, and then that, leads them to a 3DS or whatever the new handheld is at that point. Because think about it, I mean, Nintendo, the one thing they do is, you look at Pokemon, even Mario, Animal Crossing. People keep saying they keep just rehashing the same games over and over. Sure, they do that, but they're doing that to a whole new generation. So, like, every time the new handheld comes out, there's a new group of 6, 7, 8-year-olds who've never played Pokemon before. So they're buying that, and then that's what they grow up with. And then 4 or 5 years later, there's a whole new group of 6, 7, 8-year-olds, and they throw it out. And meanwhile, you and me, you and me, Josh, we're buying those games still because we love them, because we drank the Kool-Aid years ago when we were kids.
Exactly.
And those kids are going to still drink the Kool-Aid in years from there, still go ahead and buy those Nintendo games. I mean, that's the way they work. So this is them now even getting at them earlier. Saying, all right, well, the 3-year-old can't have a 3DS, but his mom has an iPad or an iPhone, and let's put the little Mario runner on there or whatever it is. And like you said, man, it's business, and that's what I think they're going to do. Whether or not it's going to turn out right or good from a fan's perspective, I don't know. Maybe it is selling out, even though they technically bought in. I don't know. But to me, I think the more interesting thing too is kind of this new console. I mean, obviously we know nothing about it. He says we're not going to know anything about it until 2016, but they're still in the hardware game. So if anybody was worried about that, I think you should be rest assured. But I don't know, what is that going to be? I mean, he said a whole new experience. Is that maybe we're finally going to get the console on the go, which, I mean, people can say the Vita was trying to be that, and that pretty much failed. But maybe, I like, first thing I thought of when he said that, I was like, all right, well, the gamepad, the Wii U gamepad kind of failed, right? I mean, for what it is, it just is this thing you can play your games on. Well, what if now the new 3DS that's out that has this better hardware in it, what if that is now the gamepad? And in 2016, when they reveal this new console, it's like, hey, you have the new 3DS. That is your new Wii U gamepad. And, like, is that what it is? And maybe then the system that comes out will play the same games, maybe do a streaming thing like PlayStation Now. I mean, obviously this is me just speculating. I have no idea. But, what does that look like? What could a new console from Nintendo be? Could it just be a PS4, kind of like what they tried to do with the Wii U, just catching up to the PS3 and 360? I mean, I don't know. What do you think, man? Kind of on that front.
I'd be all right with that. I give us a more powerful machine or whatever. But I think one thing I would love to see is that backlog of games, that back catalog, become available through like a Netflix service, right?
Oh,
$10
dude,
a month,
so good.
and you've got access to every Nintendo game in
Oh,
the
that'd be
last
amazing.
30 years.
Yep.
Like, I mean, that just seems like a no-brainer, because I mean, I've bought Mario every time it's come out on every system. You know, like, I would love to stop buying that game when it comes to the next.
And how disappointing is it? How disappointing is it? We go back to Smash. You go in there, they have this area of Smash where it's all these old Nintendo games, and they let you play for like 3 minutes. It's like, why? Like, no, I bought your game. Let me play the game. How much does it really cost you? You own the game. The game is a small little file size. Just throw it on the disc. Just let me play Mario or F-Zero or Pilot Wings. No, instead you're going to let me try and land a plane in Pilot Wings and the time runs out and I crash anyways. And I can never get better at it because you only let me play for 3 minutes. Like, what the hell is that? But they give you the option to buy it.
Of course.
And it's like, man, I already bought it on the Wii, and I don't want to buy it again on the Wii U. Like, come on, man. Which could be why, I mean, they've gotten rid of people. I saw people in the chat commenting on my Mario thing back here. This is from Club Nintendo. They've gotten rid of Club Nintendo now, and are going to be rolling something new out. Maybe that is that service like you're talking about, where you get into this Nintendo service and you just get these games a la Netflix style. I don't know. It's crazy, man. I don't know. Nintendo's just in a weird spot. Everybody always wants them, I think, to be that big company again, like we think of Sony and Microsoft. Have all the big third-party support, but in the end, like, they're just kind of their own thing. They just kind of do. For me at least now, it's like I look at Sony and Microsoft as competitors, and then Nintendo is just completely separate. And like I said earlier, I bought into the Kool-Aid. So whatever Nintendo does, whatever NX is, I'm buying into it. Like I just always do, because I will follow Mario, Link, and Samus wherever they go, just because that's, I don't know, man, that's the key to me. And you're the same way. I mean,
completely, dude.
Doesn't matter,
Completely.
And it goes back to those IPs, dude. Wherever those IPs go, I'll be there. So if it's on my iPhone, then I'm gonna be, there you go. There's your Game Boy Color, throwing it up there. I mean, that's just the way it is. It's wild.
Yeah, it is definitely the Kool-Aid. So, one of the reasons I wanted to have you on here, man, was to talk podcasting and kind of get some tips and pointers from you for somebody that's wanting to maybe start their own show. Like you started Destiny, the Guardian Radio, like what, 2 years ago?
2 years ago now, yeah, February 2013, man, we've been going.
And I mean, that's what they had just announced the game, right?
Right. Yep.
And boom, here you guys are with a podcast. And give us a little bit of background on that.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's some people tuning in. You may kind of know the story because I've said it before. But I've been podcasting now. This year it'll be 7 years I've been podcasting, and I went from me and a couple buddies who lived up in New York. I live in Charlotte, North Carolina. We were trying to just keep in touch. We love video games. I said, let's do a show. We put it together. It was freaking terrible. And nobody was listening to it, and especially back then, I mean, there was nothing like Twitch or hell, even like Twitter was still kind of in its infancy at that point. So to try and gather an audience, I just started emailing like every freaking website I could find. I mean, I was even calling websites, calling the ad departments, but I would know who the editor-in-chief is, get a hold of the ad person, and say, oh, I'm sorry, they connected me to you. I'm supposed to talk to fill in the blank of the editor-in-chief here. Like, just getting on the phone with these people, being like, please pick up my show. And we ended up hooking up with a site called avault.com, went over there, and did that for years, or 2 or 3 years, and we were interviewing a lot of developers because the gentleman who owned it, Angel Munoz, just was kind of in the industry. And my first interview ever was right when Fallout 3 came out. We interviewed one of the lead designers of the game, and from there it just took off. I mean, we were interviewing all kinds of people. It's where I first met up with some people from Bungie. I interviewed Joseph Staten over there, and Derek Carroll. So it was kind of cool being a part of that. And then that's when we started going to E3. So we started kind of making connections there, and did that. And then I did a video show for the game retailer Play and Trade. So they're kind of going down as a company, but they're a franchise of game stores that are just located across the country. And we were kind of, my buddy Chris and I, who Chris was on the early episodes of Guardian Radio, we were literally doing a show that they would show in the stores, kind of like GameStop, where they have the TVs up. And we did that for, I think we did 10 or 12 episode stint there. And at that same time, Derek, who's on Robust Radio with me, he has Game Insider Magazine, and his magazine was going to be the digital magazine for Play and Trade, kind of like how GameStop has Game Informer. So I met Derek kind of through that, and things fell through with Play and Trade and kind of with Avault. So Chris and I jumped with Derek, and we did a show over there that we called Game Reverb. Did that for about 1.5 years, 2 years, until Destiny, was getting ready to be announced, and I had always wanted to do a fan podcast, just a show about one game, a fan-driven podcast, because the first show I ever listened to was Podtacular about Halo. And so I was like, I always, I want to do something like that. And, it just sure enough happened. Bungie's announced their new IP. I'm like, that's it. It's perfect. Big Halo fans. And so I threw the idea out to Chris and Derek. We threw it together. And Watts was with us, too, from Warlock School. and we just launched. So we had the ability that when Guardian Radio launched, we had already been podcasting for a while. So it's like the process of doing a show and the back and forth through Skype and things like that, we had already had done that. So all we needed to do was get the audience, number one, and then just have the content there. So the way we could literally talk. We always joke, like, talk about a styrofoam cup for an hour. I mean, we can literally do that just because and I mean, you're already hearing me talking on this show. I'm talking like the nonstop. I mean, that's just the way that we podcast. And so we launched the show, and literally the day the show launched, Deej reached out to me because nobody was doing a podcast about Destiny, and he talked about it on our 100th episode. We had him call into the show. He said that it was like almost like a godsend to have, like, hey, it made his job easier, right? There's this show out there, and even not just us, all the other community sites, his job was just made easy because instantly people just latched onto it and started creating all this content. And so we just took off from there, and the Game Reverb show we ended up just ditching because, I've been doing these kind of generic game shows for a long time, and it's hard, man. I mean, there's so many shows out there of the bigger sites. So by us streamlining it and narrowing it down and focusing on our identity, we suddenly have this audience, and it's obviously grown, exponentially over the last 2 years. I mean, for one day in October, we were literally the #1 podcast on iTunes. Not #1 podcast, video game podcast on iTunes, which is bananas. Like, to see us above like Giant Bomb and above IGN, and I mean, that to me was just incredible. Like, right there's a podcaster, I'm like, that's it, I'm done. Like, just throw the mic away. I don't need to ever do any podcasting again. Like, we did it. Like, what else could I possibly do in podcasting? Like, that's the epitome of what you want to be. And Apple reached out to us, and they helped promote the show, and we were on the front page of just podcasts. They threw up a banner ad, and so that. It's been awesome to have that, and really it's a testament to the community that kind of built up around the show, and really the community was built because we focused on what we wanted to do. And you said here earlier in the show about what you're doing now at the Loot Cave was your previous identity of what you were doing. Just I don't think you had really focused in on something, and now with the Loot Cave, you've kind of focused in on when people see the name, anybody who's played Destiny knows what that is. So they're just the intrigue of going to see what it is, and then when they start to experience it or find out what it is, they're going to jump into it. So like my advice to somebody trying to get in is find something that not necessarily that nobody else is doing, but just focus in on something. Like to me personally, like there's just the generic show of, hey, we're just going to talk about every video game, the latest, hottest, best, greatest thing out there. It's hard to do that now. I'm not going to discourage somebody from not doing it, but it's tough. And then you need to set a goal. Like if your goal is to make money off it and that becomes your job, the generic show is going to be tough to do, where if you focus it in, you could probably hone that and become bigger in that specific area and then just cater to your audience. I don't know. So like our goal has always been just to have fun. We don't get paid to do this. We just, to me, I mean, this week, dude, we've received so many emails this week. Like it was one of the biggest weeks of emails that we've had. And like that to me, waking up every day and seeing that's kind of my payment. And here I am talking about a generic show. I do robust radio, which is literally about everything. I mean, we're talking sports, movies, TV, all that. But that show for me is more, and I kind of joke with those guys, it's like therapeutic. It's like just an escape. With that show, we're just looking to tap into the Guardian Radio audience. So it's like with that show, my goal was, hey, you guys hear me talk about Destiny every week. That's great. But if you like me and you just like maybe my opinions, hey, here's Derek and Chris, who you guys have been clamoring for us to bring back to the show, and we're just talking about stuff that we love. And so we're not trying to compete with Nerdist or any of the big shows. We're just trying to cater to the Guardian Radio audience or the Guardian Radio Network audience. So, that's the biggest advice is, streamline it to whatever your focus is and, cater to your audience and set a goal. Because if you set your goal, then you know what you need to always be working towards. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and with setting goals, man, I mean, you got you got the big goal, and then you've got a bunch of little goals that you meet to get there along the way, right? And setting those little goals, when you complete one, it's a win, and it
feels so good, man.
Keep going.
Yeah.
So, but when you guys first started, man, I mean, what were your downloads like? Like how many I see the face that you just made. Like,
rough, man. I mean, we would stream to Twitch, and there was what, 5 of us on the show. We'd have 7 viewers. 5 of those were us. Like, I mean, you just would get small downloads, but you can't let that discourage you, because for me, like, podcasting is just a hobby, so I just have fun doing it regardless. And I'm a married guy. I got kids, so for me, like, this is my escape. Like, Monday nights are my escape. Like, put the kids to bed. Tell my wife, like, all right, love you. Going in the office. I'm going to stay up as late as I need to tonight and just talk with my buddies, talk with my friends, have fun. And so that's kind of where another reason why it's just I've stuck with it, because it's just fun, man. Like, we've gone breaks where we don't podcast, and I mean, even Guardian Radio, we've taken a week off every holiday season, and a couple weeks here or there. And when you do that, like, you just miss it. You just miss that conversation that you have. And if you go into it, I think, just kind of with that mindset of just I want to podcast because I want to be involved in a conversation, and do it with a friend or whatever. Just go with it, and hopefully, just through hard work and perseverance, something good will happen. With it, the other thing I always tell people too is you need to just kind of do it. Like, you got to practice it, obviously, but I tell people too, your first episode that you do, don't put that out, because I guarantee you're going to be going, there's going to be all these long pauses. And honestly, you have those first, 15, 20, maybe 30 seconds of the show when somebody first tunes in to kind of capture them. Because as soon as they tune in, and if they just hear, stuff like that, they're instantly going to think that you're not professional or whatever. And there's always another podcast waiting to be downloaded or waiting to be streamed. So you got to try and nail that. So just get together with your friends. I mean, I even talk to myself in my car. Talk to yourself. That's another thing. I look like a crazy person going down the street, but do that. Practice intros. Practice just talking out loud, developing thoughts. I mean, I don't know. It definitely takes a little bit of practice to get into it, and you got to just do it. You got to just try and do it, and don't get discouraged. And like I said, I know it's exciting when you buy your domain and you throw your website up and you figure out how to publish it, and you know how to get it on iTunes. Take the time, do a couple episodes, let friends listen to it, let family listen to it. Make sure they're honest and aren't just saying, "Oh yeah, that sounds great," when clearly it's not sounding good. Like, just practice at it, and you'll have fun doing it, I'm sure. And just keep chasing those goals, whatever you said is your goal. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Set those goals, and dude, I mean, the loot cave started, right? I mean, I threw up the Twitch. That's kind of like, I'm going to start with the Twitch and try to get to know people. Now I see this chat right here.
Yeah, the chat. Yep.
Every one of these people I consider a friend.
Yep.
Right. And I appreciate every one of them, and I try to go and visit them in their streams as often as I can, and hang out with them. And I love those guys.
Yep.
But guess what? When I started this 2 months ago, there was a big fat donut. That was
right.
The amount of people
watching
me. And you just got to keep at it.
Yep.
You just have to keep at it. Like, that's the bottom line.
Yeah.
Like,
just that viewer count going up just one more is, that's a win. You don't need to have hundreds of viewers. You don't need to have that, because honestly, when you do, that brings on more problems. Almost like, enjoy the fact that you can know, like you just said, you can know every single person in that chat by name. Like when we stream our show, I see the names constantly. Our show now, we have a second chat, Jerk Chat. It's people who were there way back with us, and they don't like some of the new people coming in, so they've kind of created their own chat. But in the chat, the non-exclusive Jerk Chat, there are people who show up every week, and we appreciate all that, and that to me has been the best thing. I've always wanted to have a community, and I consider you a part of that, Josh. I consider everybody tuning into this. However, everybody's a part of it, and it's awesome, and if
Absolutely.
that really was the goal for me with what we did with Guardian Radio, was to just develop a community, and it's here, man. We did it, and so we just keep rolling with it. And we just had, I don't know if people that are in the chat heard on our last episode, and you said you didn't get a chance to tune in. We now have voicemails that people can send us to our website, and we had a guy send us when he's 58 years old. He's this guy. He said he kind of starts off like talking, and he goes, "Let me tell you about myself. I'm a 58-year-old, Xbox One gamer." And I'm like, "That's incredible." He listens to our show every week. He's like, "I don't have any peers that play. I'm a 31. I have never rated, but I love the game and love the community." So I'd urge people on our show this week, let's get in contact with this guy and get him out there, and he's probably gonna meet a bunch of Xbox One gamers and start raiding and diving in the community. Like, that's awesome that something like that is out there for people. I don't know, it's pretty neat, man.
Dude, I love it. I love the community. There's a kid in the chat. I didn't know he was a kid, right? You don't know people what they are as they, but his name is Duh Dude. I don't know. It's got some numbers after it or whatever, and so I let him add me on Xbox One, and I got a message from him Saturday morning. He's like, "I'm just starting out. I just got this game after watching you play it. Do you mind coming and helping me?" Right? So I jump in, and it's like it's a 12-year-old kid, and I'm like,
"Yeah, it's great.
Let's do this,
We're
man.
all gamers,
I
man.
can run you through a mission. Let's go." Yep. And then, I got a son that's 12. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna let these guys play together.
Dude, my son, he plays Destiny. He's got like I think a level 26 hunter now is his main, and a lot of our listeners have run raids, or not the raid, but run strikes with him, and like that's awesome, And I personally feel comfortable, letting those people do that, because it's like, hey, I know so and so, he's always in my chat, or I play with them too, and yeah, definitely, and that's just awesome. I'll be at work getting messages. From my son, he's at home playing Destiny while I'm at work. I'm like, damn it, like I want to be home playing Destiny, and he's playing with all the people I play with. Like, come on, man. Like, where's that? How's that fair? But it's just the community, man. It's really awesome. And I don't know if it's just not to say it's just Destiny, because a lot of games have it, but the Destiny community, from day one has just been super, super positive. Those really invested in it. And sure, the games come out, some people didn't meet expectations, and of course, you can go over to Reddit or go to Bungie.net, and you'll find, the negative side of the community, which unfortunately that's kind of is the majority of a lot of it, but because we always forget, like, I can go on my Twitter feed and I would think that, everybody out there loves Destiny and all that, but you forget that it's like, that's the only people we follow. I only follow people that like Destiny. I don't, go in and get the negative. And I've even had the conversation with Deej before. I think at one point he put in the update something about, this was a while back, something about like the percentage of people that use like a certain weapon type, whatever it was. And I remember Bife saying like, "Oh, that's so great. I wish you could always push that out so we could all see that and know what the meta is." And Deej was just like, "Well, it's kind of a lot of work for them to do that. I don't know if they could do that every week." He's like, "Oh," Bife's like, "No, that'd be great. Everybody can see that." And he's just like, yeah, but you forget, like, we're such a small percentage of that community. When there's 10 million people, 11 million people playing, what's 20,000 people of that? Like, that's not really a huge part of the community, even though as in deep as we are, like, that's such a small part of the majority. But to have that tight-knit 20,000, which I don't even know how you can have a tight-knit 20,000, like, is still incredible to have that. Yeah. And it's awesome, man. It's really cool. So...
All right, dude. I don't want to keep you too much longer, but give me one last, like, best piece of advice for somebody podcasting. I know we've already got some gems from you, so if you can think of just one, this is what you got to do. Like,
what
do
you
this.
have to do. Oh, man. I guess you just kind of got to assess your setup. Almost is probably the biggest thing, because equipment definitely does matter. Right now I'm using. I actually had a what the heck, an AKG. P220, I think I was using when I had the. I think you use the same thing. What's your setup? Your USB hub that you got? Audio box?
No, it's a PreSonus FirePod.
Okay, I was using the PreSonus audio box for a while, the USB, and then actually, dude, I bought that years ago when we did the Play and Trade show. I invested in the Yeti, which everybody's using, like the condenser Yeti. This thing works great, man. It's just plug and play. It's got my monitor on it for what I'm using it for. I don't need to do the super audio production anymore, so I kind of downgraded from that. And this thing, I think they retail $150. I bought it at I think Sam Goody had it or Sam Ash had it for $120 or whatever it was. But make sure you got good equipment, because like right now I have a Logitech webcam. You hear guys trying to do podcasts on webcams with all kinds of background noise, and it's like you can't. You got to make sure your equipment at least is somewhat solid. A lot of the headset mics, they work pretty good, so you can go ahead and do that. But you got to assess your equipment and then just figure out, like, how are we going to do it? That's the best. And the best advice out there, I would say, is hit up YouTube. It's different on different platforms. So if you're going PC or Mac, there's two different ways to do it. I would say, you're using GarageBand. We record on the Mac. But like to go out to Twitch, I actually do that on my PC. So we kind of go multifold. But there's all kinds of setups you can do out there, and reach out to people. Feel free to even reach out to me. I'm sure Josh, you'd give people advice
Absolutely.
If you're interested in podcasting, definitely reach out to anybody that you kind of look up to. I mean, I know Josh and I are both very accessible. Some of the bigger guys like your Giant Bombs and that. I mean, don't go after those guys because the Giant Bomb sitting in a studio in CBS Studios or whatever in San Francisco. So those guys aren't gonna help you too much. But I mean, we've been through it. We've done the digging. And like I said, the other thing is just do it. Like you gotta just try and do it because that's. If you don't do that and you just think like, all right, we're going to go live for our first show on Twitch and everything's going to be great, and then you hit that button and everything's just failing and you don't know what's going on, like that's not the way. You don't want to start off that way because you're just going to lose people. Even if they are your friends, they're not going to come back, trust me. So, yeah, just...
Wait, did you just describe how we started this show today?
No.
The Twitch stream isn't actually working, and... you know what though? It's a labor of love, right?
It is a labor of love, my friend. Yes.
I think I'm even gonna leave the behind the scenes so that
nobody sees it, right? They gotta see it. It's the failures.
Yeah, like
my first podcast, dude. And I might have said this at the last show. My first podcast, I recorded with a Rock Band microphone in a coffee cup. It's how I recorded it, and I forgot to hit the record button. So Chris and I, my buddy Chris, we did it. It was just him and I did like a 30, 40-minute podcast, never hit record. I had to go back and do it again and stupidly try to like say the same jokes, and clearly they're not funny the second time. It's terrible. Yeah. So, but yeah, and so when I say equipment, I'm not saying you need to invest in all this equipment, but like just, take a look at what you got and make sure maybe you know how to use what you got. Let me put it that way. And you can stay within your means. Don't be shooting for the sky to instantly say, we're going to stream every show out to Twitch and do all this stuff. It's like, well, start small and, just try and podcast first, I think. And what another big important thing is make sure you get the right co-host. I mean, you can have the best friend in the world, but if he's quiet and doesn't really say anything, and every answer just says like, yeah, that's cool. And then there's that long, awkward silence of like, okay, well, that's cool. Like, could you elaborate? Are we going to talk here? Like, to me, dude, that was the worst thing with AVault when I was on the AVault podcast, because we would email people, to come on, all these developers and that, and I had no idea what their personality was until like literally right before we went on the air. Now that show we didn't do live, so that at least I had that bonus. But you get them on the air, and you could tell within like 30 seconds whether it was going to be a good interview or a bad interview, because like if they don't talk much when they come on, it's just rough, man. And trying to do like a 20-minute interview with somebody that doesn't talk is just like grueling to try and just pull something out of somebody. And people probably even notice like on Guardian Radio, I even do it. Like I try to, like, if somebody doesn't talk for a while, like throw it, to somebody else. Like if Bell's quiet for a while, or if back when like Chris was still on the show. I mean, Chris would be there for his intro and then just not say anything till like the very end. I just try to randomly throw things at him, just like, come on, man, say something. Like, try and keep it open-ended too, or somebody can't just say yes, because then that's not going to go anywhere. Like you got to just kind of work on that, the conversation of it. But in your case, man, it's probably hard to have somebody who just talks too much like me, because I just talk way too much, man. So I'm sorry. I always just end up talking a lot. So I think I'm the complete opposite of most of other podcast people who don't say anything. I just don't stop talking. So.
Yeah, which I love it. I mean, like this is the best. This is why I needed you for the number one, man.
The number one show.
I do. I just love it. I can sit here and listen and even learn from the stuff you're saying, like I just
crazy, man.
I absolutely love it. So, and it's funny you mentioned Rock Band Mike. I know of a podcast, the Nintendo Quest. Look that up on Google, guys. The Nintendo Quest podcast. It's a movie that's coming out this summer, but the main like star of the movie records their podcast every week with a Rock Band microphone.
I mean, it's just a USB mic. When you plug it in, it tells you what brand it is too. And I don't know if it's Logitech, but it'll tell you whatever the brand is. Like it pops up in Windows, and it's just a typical mic, and it's a little tiny condenser mic. Which the one I used was the original. I mean, I don't know if that guy's still using like the original, which he probably is, because I think wired was kind of the original, and I think the wireless one eventually came out. But it's crazy. What other Nintendo podcasts do you listen to? You listen to other ones?
There's lots. There's a whole the Retro Junkies is a network that you can check out that has two dudes in a NES, and they just kind of talk about old Nintendo games. And there's a bunch more within that. There's some guys that just talk about Ninja Turtles. There's some guys that talk about Sega games. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff.
Podcasting's the greatest, dude. I love it, man. You can just you can find whatever. Like I always loved when a game is getting set to come out, like to listen to the shows. So like, When Elder Scrolls Online came out, I listened to Elder Scrolls Off the Record. When Guild Wars 2 was coming out, I listened to whatever the heck that show was called. Like all those shows. And like right now, Nintendo-wise, I listen to NWR, Nintendo World Report. I mean, those guys have been going on for a long time. And I actually just recently started listening to the IGN show. I never used to listen to really a lot of IGN shows, but listening to those guys, they're a little too in-depth into amiibos. Those dudes are loving their amiibos. Do you have any amiibos? Do you have amiibos or no? How many you got?
Uh-oh.
Hey, I got 4. I have 4 of them, so I don't have the whole collection. You got them all? You got them all, don't you?
I'm probably missing 4.
Wow. Do you got Little Mac?
Yes.
Damn it! I want Little Mac, dude. We got Donkey Kong, Peach, because my daughter wanted to get Peach, Mario, and Pikachu. That's it. But I want Little Mac, dude. I gotta get Little Mac. Are they in the package, or you got them out?
They're all in package.
You got them in package.
They're an investment for me. Like, I mean.
Right. Okay, I gotcha.
I'd like to get them. This is getting way too nerdy. Oh,
dude, that's what we're here for, man. Come on. We're two Nintendo nerds. We're talking, man. Who cares what everybody else thinks?
I'd actually like to put them in like UV safe packaging and
really
display them that way, so they don't get discolored. And
they're pretty. Did you get were you able to pre-order one of the gold Marios? Or no?
Dude, I was streaming on Thursday night, and my wife was like, "Yeah, you'll get the gold one. Don't worry about it." I called Walmart at 1 a.m. and they were like, "Yeah, there were some mad rush of people here. They're all gone." I was like,
"That's crazy, dude." Wow.
So no gold one, but I'll keep looking. That's kind of. It's like
it's cool, dude. And when I said the IGN guys, I mean, I'm just joking when I say that. I mean, the amiibos are actually pretty freaking awesome. Like, the figures are cool. The functionality down the line. I hope though they make you wear, because right now, I mean, if you have them in the packaging, it doesn't really, you're not utilizing for the games. But in terms of the games, like, I wish they would make it where you could use it in multiple games. Like right now, they kind of have it where you use it in Smash, that's great, but when you try to carry it over to, what are some of the other ones? I think Mario Party, like, it wipes out your save from Smash. Right. And like, why is it doing that? Like, I understand maybe there's only one little NFC chip in it, but if that's the function they want those things to have, especially having like the 3DS, now the new 3DS having that functionality in it, they gotta fix that, because that's not gonna work in terms of having the kids play with it. But I think in the grand scheme of things, these things were meant to be collector's items. Exactly what you're doing with it. That's what they wanted to tap into was people like you, to collect it rather than actually use them for the games.
So Rosalina is super rare, right? She was a Target exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
And some a-hole at the Target here in my hometown took the Elsa Disney Infinity doll. Elsa from
Frozen.
Frozen. Yeah. Same color blue dress.
Yes.
And hung it with the amiibos. So from a distance, when I saw it, I almost
went running.
I did. I went running. I think I screamed like a little girl, and it was Elsa, and I was like,
well, that's that's one of the tips that those IGN guys say is always check the Disney Infinity Rack, because a lot of times it probably wasn't even somebody like a person. It was probably one of the employees. It's just stupid, not stupid, but they don't know what they're doing. They're just hanging up because it's all these figurines, all these plastic figures. Check the Disney Infinity Racks, because there could shoved back in there be a random amiibo. So that's definitely a tip to dive into when you're looking at them. But yeah, like I said, we just have Donkey Kong, Mario, Peach, and Pikachu. And actually, we just yesterday, I even think I tweeted this, for an hour, my son and I just sat there and watched Mario and Pikachu in like an endless Smash battle just fight. We just watched it, and he was doing like commentary, like he was like an MLG announcer, just constantly talking about. I think he had it on like an endless time limit and like 5 deaths, and like they were both like in the level 40s, and we just watched them each hit 50, and they just kept going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But at the same time, like it was awesome to watch that, like because it was a great fight. They're high level amiibos, and it was just as if you're watching like a stream on Twitch, which my son and I actually do that. Like I always like respected Smash, but I never really played it too much. But now to actually have like high level Smash play always available to watch on Twitch, I love it, dude. Like I always put it on Twitch and just watch these guys play. Like it is a fantastic game. Like I never really, like I said, dove into it that much, or really, I guess, understood kind of the skill that goes into that game. But there's a lot of stuff going on in those games, and to watch high level play, it's awesome. So that's something. If anybody wants to, dive into something on Twitch that maybe you haven't watched before, watch some Smash It's kind of like the same thing like if you watch like Dota 2. Like I have no idea what the hell's going on, but like it's just awesome to watch and hear the announcers going crazy. Smash is the same way. Like you may not know the characters, you don't know their moves, but it just looks awesome to see these guys going at it. Love it.
Yeah, dude, it is. That's great.
And it's Nintendo.
So hey, buddy, where's the? Yeah, you gotta love it. The big N, man. We need a remake of the Power Glove. I mean, come on.
I had it. I used to run around my backyard because I could only play Rad Racer with it, and it sucked anyways because I saw it in the Wizard. All you could do is turn left and right. I think you like opened your fist to go, close it to break, and it still sucks. So I used to run around my backyard. I'd put it on and wrap the quarter around my arm and just run around like the Bionic Man, like hitting buttons on it and stuff like that. That was all I could do with it. Did you have a Virtual Boy? No.
No, I do plan on getting one though. I want to add that to the
collection. Just talking today, my son has like the Guinness Book of World Records like video games of 2014, and it listed like all these failed gaming consoles, and the Virtual Boy was in there. And I said to him literally tonight, I'm like, dude, we need to get one of those. We have to get one. I never had one.
Yeah, there's only like 23 games or something, so it's not a big. It failed quickly.
Oh yeah, I mean, I remember when they were cheap too. Like KB Toys near me was selling them, like when they just basically liquidated them for like $20-$30. I wish I'd bought one back then, man. But at that time you're just like, oh, that thing's garbage. It hurts your eyes. I don't want it. And then fast forward 15 years, it's like, oh, I wish I had that. It's just like an epic piece of migraine. An epic piece of gaming, history, man. So.
Yeah, and I mean, look, it's a business failure, but they just picked up and kept on going.
I don't know, man. VR's looking pretty awesome. It's coming out in the next couple of years. I know the Oculus better watch out. That Virtual Boy is going to make its comeback.
Virtual Boy 2 is on its way. You heard it here first.
Better watch out, Zuckerberg over at Facebook buying Oculus. Nintendo's bringing back the Virtual Boy. Better watch it. That's what the NX is. That's what the Nintendo NX is. Their VR. What it's going to be.
Oh man!
And they're gonna, and you know what they're gonna do? You know what they're gonna do? They're gonna resell us Mario Brothers and Pilot Wings, and we're gonna buy it again, man, in the freaking NX, whatever it is. Crazy.
You nailed it. You nailed it.
So it's gonna happen.
All right, boss. Well, hey, I appreciate you taking this last hour, almost hour and a half, hanging out. Like I said, you are responsible for this.
Awesome.
This is all your fault.
I get. I'll say that's a good thing, but we'll have to wait and see how you deliver on it. But no, I know you will, dude. I urge everybody to definitely, man, follow what you're doing because, I don't know how initially we kind of came to meet in that kind of early on, but like I said, I've seen you now. Just you've grown within the Destiny community, and it's really cool now to see you doing this. And obviously, I wish you the best of luck, man, and give me a call whenever. I'll be here. We can always talk Nintendo. I'm always here to talk Nintendo. Whenever there's big Nintendo news, man, bring me on because I'll be here in a heartbeat.
Excellent, dude. When that Mario Kart 8 new DLC comes out, you'll be my first call.
Where is it, man? Like, I've been waiting. They said spring. Like, I mean, the last tracks were awesome. Excite Bike is awesome. The Zelda one is great. Like, give me those new tracks.
I think it says May. I think if you look on the game, it says May. Ugh. So, hey, they're taking their time. I know, just like House of Wolves, right? They're just taking their time. Even Batman got delayed.
Batman got delayed. It did, yep. Hey, delays can be a good thing. They can definitely be a good thing. Yeah. More time, the better. I mean, look at Witcher 3. I mean, it's taken forever for that freaking game, but they want to make sure the game is...
Give them time.
Yep, it'll come out for sure.
So, in case somebody doesn't know where to find you, which I doubt it's going to be the case if they're listening to this, but where can they find you online?
Check out the website, theguardiansofdestiny.com. You can find me. I host Guardian Radio over there, as well as Robust Radio. You can follow my personal Twitter account, @Mark Turk. That's MarkTurc. Or on Twitter, I also handle the Guardian Radio Twitter account, the @GuardiansofD. Yes, we do guard the D. We always hear people laughing about that when they read our Twitter account. And you can find links to everything at theguardiansofdestiny.com. You can find everything over there. Or you can even just put in guardianradionetwork.com, and it'll link you to the same spot. And, of course, we're up on iTunes and all that, and all the links are on the website over there. So...
All right, brother. Well, thank you so much. And everybody that joined us live tonight, in spite of things just not working out too great, little technical difficulties, you guys are awesome. I am stoked to get this thing started. And, thank you. Thank you, chat.
No doubt, man.
You guys are awesome.
Thanks,
have a good night, brother.
Later, man.